Am I the asshole for not adhering to a client's version of our agreement? I'm sorry for how abbreviated this is. I'm trying to stay to the character count. Feel free to ask for more info. I, 25 female, run a small daycare. I had an unexpected sudden vacancy in my roster for a full-time child. A family approached me and asked if I'd do part-time. I said no. They said they would maybe need full-time in 3 months but not right away. I told them that if they wanted I would take them on temporarily part-time, and if I didn't fill the space by 3 months, unlikely, they could matriculate to full-time or leave. I explicitly told them that if another family claimed the space before they did, they would need to vacate with only as much notice as the family gave me for their start date. This ends up happening. New family wants to start in 6 weeks. I give them notice and they go ballistic. Basically, they felt even after we discussed in detail that they were only placeholders in the space as I needed a full-time committed family, that they had a right to dibs on the spot with a deadline to take it or decline within that 3-month period. I told them that wasn't our agreement and that doing that would have potentially put me in a very bad spot by forcing me to turn away business for a maybe from them. I told them as per my contract they had reviewed and signed holding a future space required a deposit, which they didn't pay. I explained his attendance in a lower than required capacity and the payment for that was not a deposit. It was payment for services rendered and guaranteed nothing if they hadn't signed a full-time long-term agreement or paid a deposit. I explained that if I held the spot with no deposit and no guarantee that if they turned it down it would put me in a terrible financial position, which is why I know I would never have said that's what I'd do. They told me they sympathized. They had been living off one income too for 8 months since their son was born. He's a lawyer, so that felt a little bit insulting. They started to get aggressive, parsing legalisms from our conversations, twisting my words and even implying there would be problems from this. Then they called me. For a while we went in circles. It was very dramatic. They started by saying, "Mom is here but is so drained she can't speak," while the dad argued with me. I stayed calm but firm. Then close to the end the mom chimes in. She is sobbing. She accuses me of breaching our agreement and says how could I do this to them and how maybe I could because I didn't understand the sacrifice she is making by using childcare. I ended the call. After the fact I felt extremely anxious they would try to take legal action against me, so I offered them a solution. I would take the monetary hit and keep him part-time for the rest of the remaining 3-month period, and if they paid me the small deposit, they could have a guaranteed space to take or reject in January. They turned me down, though they said he would need to stay for the remaining time. I can tell they're extremely upset with me, but I feel asking for them to adhere to an industry standard practice of paying a deposit to secure a space in the future is not unreasonable, especially considering I'm even losing money on the space as is right now since they won't bring him full time. Third edit to say, yes, I feel very stupid for just having a verbal agreement that covered attendance. I should have made something up specifically for them, but I felt especially because there was an email that specified I could only keep them temporarily unless they agreed to full time. That plus our verbal agreement would suffice. I'm probably naive. Edit. They signed a general agreement that covered terms such as payment, health and safety but did not cover days attended or anything to do with long-term occupation of the space because our verbal agreement was that they were basically holding the spot until another family or them wanted to properly commit to full time, which could be any day, and they could be removed without notice. So due to the extremely temporary nature of his attendance I didn't have them sign anything. Not even a contract mandating part-time attendance because it didn't really make sense to do so. I did not add this in writing to the papers they signed, it was just a verbal understanding. Editing for some important context. The dad is a lawyer, he specializes in social justice, according to him. The mother is a PhD with an arcane but prestigious position at a company. They are more than capable of understanding our agreement. I started this daycare when my oldest child was diagnosed special needs and I realized that our working-class underserved community resources could not accommodate her. I put my career aspirations to the side to do so. I also charge 1/2 of most of the care centers in my city and provide care for families who would otherwise not be able to afford it. I could make twice what I do, but I choose not to because I feel it would be unethical. I work every weekday and holiday but Christmas. I recently gave birth and took 2 weeks of maternity leave. This job is not custom built to keep me fat and happy, so I may also feel offended at their accusations because I have made a lot of sacrifices to do this. Too long did not read. I made a temporary agreement. When it came to fruition the family decided they didn't like, misunderstood the terms. I was firm anyways. Am I the asshole? NTA. I suggest you do not continue doing childcare for them after the original contract ends. They sound like trouble. Not the asshole. I told them that wasn't our agreement. #that wasn't your agreement. Not the asshole. They reviewed and signed the contract, so have zero leg to stand on with regards to the deposit. That being said, did your contract include the agreement that if the space was taken prior to the end of the 3 months then they would have to find alternative care? Still not the asshole either way, but definitely a lesson learned to have any and all agreements outside of the contract in writing and signed. Not the asshole. It's not your fault they chose to ignore both your detailed explanation as well as the written agreement they signed. Where else could they go and pull this shit? What other daycare would allow them to change their policies to suit them? They thought they could finesse you since you're young and running your own business. Not the asshole. To be honest, I'd have shut down any explanations or negotiating completely after hearing, "Mama's here but is so drained she can't speak." Just too much drama and passive-aggressive bullshit for business you don't need. Info. Was this a signed binding agreement that it was a part-time spot? Edit. As per OP's comments and replies. Not the asshole. You had an agreement and established proof of the agreement. They were trying to pull a Darth Vader and alter it to their liking. Yeah, that won't hold up in court. Also, where do they get off on saying they had dibs? Dibs literally means nothing in the legal world. You probably lost this family as a customer, but you're better off without them. They can take their entitled posteriors somewhere else and go kick rocks. Not the asshole. You and the parents made an agreement, and now they're trying to manipulate you into doing what they wanted you to do, not agreed with you to do. Seeing as he's a lawyer, I don't think it would be insane to get a consultation with another lawyer, just to explain your situation and see if he has anything he can hold on to. It's probably not necessary, but I would recommend it just to cover your bases. You need a lawyer, not Reddit. Am I the asshole for saying I prefer sushi to children? Okay, so straight to it. My husband and I, both in our early 30s, have been together for over a decade and made the decision to not have kids. I like kids, I have nieces and nephews, we just don't want them for our own reasons. He had a vasectomy which only a few people know about. Our families are aware we don't want kids as they've asked this before during different major life events, our wedding for instance. We recently bought a 3-bedroom home with a nice yard in a nice area. Excited to show our new home to family and friends, major upgrade to our previous home, we hosted a housewarming. During the party, one of my sibling-in-laws, Alex, made a few indirect comments about all this space, and kids would love it in our house etc. Eventually they asked point blank when we were having kids. I made a lighthearted joke about it, which is my go-to for this question. Oh, well, I like sushi too much to have to give it up for a pregnancy. Plus not drinking for pregnancy and breastfeeding? No thanks. I tried to make it very lighthearted and laugh it off. Most people just laughed along. That seemed to anger Alex and I was told, children are a joy, and a good mother puts her kids before everything else. I agreed. Children are a joy. I like spending time with the nieces and nephews, and obviously I can't be a good mom if I chose sushi over kids, so I just won't be a mom, paraphrased. Still trying to brush it off in a gentle way because I'm not trying to start a fight by telling them to stop asking in front of everyone because I know my tone will be seen as rude and abrasive. We move on, but Alex is still annoyed and making little comments in their group about how flippant I am about it and how when it finally happens, then I'll understand. My husband heard this and jokingly said, well, if she gets pregnant, that'll be a problem for the divorce lawyers. That seemed to piss them off more but they stopped. With holidays coming up, we have not been invited to Alex's usual Halloween bonfire. When husband spoke to his parents, they told him Alex was annoyed we were so careless and callous about our child-free status and to say what we did, and they realized we had taken permanent steps to ensure we never had kids. That we know they had to do if to have kids etc. And we are Oz to just not care. I feel bad because they did do if and lots of fertility treatments to have their kids, and even then they still had a few miscarriages. I can't imagine wanting kids and struggling to have them and then deal with miscarriages. But at the same time, I'm so tired of justifying living my life how I want. Am I the asshole? Edited to add. To the few people messaging and commenting about me being the asshole for not wanting kids. I'm not asking if I'm the asshole for my kid decision. I'm asking if I'm the asshole for saying the sushi over kids comment. To everyone else, holy guacamole, I'm overwhelmed. I never expected to get so many responses. I am trying to read all of them and the advice given. I feel terrible my joke was taken the way it was and that I hurt my ILs. I truly never meant for that to happen. After the bonfire this weekend, we will be reaching out to have a heart-to-heart, if they'll accept it. Either way, I'll be apologizing for hurting their feelings. Let them know I love their kids and them. But I will also be firmly putting down any further attempts to discuss our child-free status if the conversation is about changing our minds. I have not told them our reasons for being child-free, so I think perhaps if they are willing to listen, I'll explain them and hopefully the conversation can be constructive. I don't want to go into the holidays with my husband on the outs with his brother. Thank you all. Not the asshole. A good mother puts her children before anything else, is a really weird thing to say to someone who isn't even a fucking parent. Not the asshole. Just because they had difficulty having children they don't get to judge you for choosing to not have children. Regardless, they also don't get to bring up the topic then act hurt when you give an honest, non-offensive answer. Not the asshole. My go-to funny answer to that question is, I also like dolphins but I don't have one of those either. Alex is taking this way too personally. NTA. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Alex was being nosy and rude, and you treated their obnoxious intrusion into your personal, private lives with far more grace than it really deserved. LMFAO. Their struggles in having children does not mean they get to push their desires for them onto you. Alex was jealous of your lack of that struggle, and rude, plain and simple. Not the asshole. Children are a joy, and a good mother puts her kids before everything else. But you are not a mom, aren't you? Why should you try to be a good mom if you don't have and don't want kids? And a good person is a person that has enough self-awareness to know they wouldn't make a good parent, and brave enough to go against the society norms. There is nothing wrong in not wanting to bring a kid into their care if it's not their life plan. And geez, people needs to learn to mind their own business. Not the asshole. If life comes and cuts you, it's okay to cry and feel hurt and to ask someone to help to bandage it up and clean the blood and to ask people not to poke the cut, but it does not give you the right to go bleed over everybody else. They were in your home, they were the one forcing the subject on you. They were rubbing their bleeding cut all over you. Not the asshole. Edit. Pronouns. Not the asshole. Alex is too sensitive because of infertility issues and probably needs a little therapy to cope with the stress. Alex also thick-headed to pursue convo again and again. You don't owe an apology, but maybe a heartfelt, sorry I hurt your feelings because I know you have struggled a lot for your kids that I truly love, might go a long way to healing the breach. Good luck. Am I the asshole for leaving a non-profit when I'm the primary fundraiser? Some backstory first. I was part of a non-profit service club, and as of 2019 our main weekly fundraiser netted about $250,000 annually. It was consistent for a few decades, with 1 or 2 bad years where we netted under $50,000. We fired our employee in 2019 due to really bad work, and I took over full-time for a short period while we hired someone new. We all agreed to pay me a small nominal wage in that time. In a matter of weeks I started increasing our sales by almost 10% a week. My temporary 3 months turned into 2 years with $5 Malale net the first year, and $9 Malale net the second year. It was incredible, and I should have been proud beyond belief. The problem started after my first year. We had a new president, and I was accused of amateur organizational skills, fraudulently padding my hours for more pay, and absolute incompetence in every way imaginable. He consistently told me that the entire board of the club felt this way, and he was just the messenger. After about 3 months of abuse, I ended up lashing out at the board for these accusations. Many of them were surprised, and had no idea what I was talking about. The president denied saying any of it, and claimed that he was merely communicating concerns to me in a professional manner. I was asked to apologize to the board for making the accusations, which I did without a problem because I believed them. However, they never asked the president to apologize to me, and instead believed him when he said I was imagining it all. What followed was another full year of working my ass off to raise even more money, $9 Malale, without the involvement of any other club members, while the president pouted about his character assassination, and a forced empty apology from him saying, "I'm sorry if you misunderstood me, I'll try to be clearer in the future." While I worked my ass off, I kept prompting the board to do something about this year-long conflict. Their responses were either, "Get over it," or, "You know how the president is, you shouldn't be surprised," or, "You're paid for this." After a year of limbo, being gaslighted and dismissed, I decided to walk away 2 weeks ago. They were shocked, and a mix of mildly apologetic and angry. A few days later, they were angrier because I'm the only one with the expertise to navigate and support the system that I designed from scratch, so I proposed to stay on for a transition period at no pay, as long as they pay the employees an even spread bonus equal to the amount I would normally invoice. They haven't agreed to it, and it was suggested that I had ulterior motives for wanting to work for free. I want to just cut ties completely at this point, but I'm made to feel like an asshole for walking away and destroying this massive fundraiser. I'm also tempted to just become an asshole and use my position to completely take over, but I don't really care enough anymore after a year of being treated like I'm crazy and imagining the abuse. So, am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Revoke your offer and walk away. I propose to stay on for a transition period at no pay, as long as they pay the employees an even spread bonus equal to the amount I would normally invoice. They haven't agreed to it, and it was suggested that I had ulterior motives for wanting to work for free. If you have no particular NDA or EA restrictions, take your expertise to another non-profit that will appreciate it, or form your own organization for your cause and poach some people on the way out to take care of things you aren't good at. Absolutely NTA. It is a job you can quit at any time. The saying goes, you don't quit a good job, you quit bad management. I am sorry, but it's their problem to fix. It is a problem they caused. Not the asshole. Leave the company. This is a toxic workplace environment. Do not offer them anything. Just stop. Go. Don't look back. You owe them nothing. Do not offer a transition period. Do not offer to train someone else. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. You will be used and abused throughout, and that transition will most likely take much longer as they won't be looking for anyone for quite a while. And #X200B. Be this a lesson in that when you quit a job, you have them make an offer to you. You do not make an offer to them. Not the asshole, you're too emotionally invested in this. You should have walked away after the first incident with that snake, and now you're being overly generous with your exit. Why give them any more? It's okay for them to feel the hurt of your absence. And if you're thinking, oh, the employees, you staying on short term for free will not improve conditions for them long term. What is you doing, baby? Not the asshole. You're never an off for quitting a job that's not healthy for you. Not the asshole. You should have quit when the new president started complaining and accusing you of fraud. Not the asshole. It's a job. You were treated poorly and you left. The world turns round regardless. They'll find a new you, and that isn't your problem to fix. Not the asshole. If COVID taught us anything as a workforce, it's that we have options and we're stronger for taking them. Dip out and find your new trajectory in life. Best of luck. Would I be the asshole if I let my partner adopt my son? First of all, English is not my native language, so I apologize in advance for any mistakes. This is quite a long one, but here goes. I, 31F, have a son, S, 12M, from a previous relationship. My ex-partner, D, 32M, had a lot of mental health issues and it wasn't a healthy relationship. D left 1 week after S was born. Right now, I have a good job, my son is happy and is well cared for by both me and my partner, L, 31M. We've been together for 10 years, he's been in S's life ever since he was 1. When S was 5 we all moved in together and S started calling L, Dad. Meanwhile, D has never been in the picture. Due to his mental health issues he couldn't bring himself to make the effort. He never provided for us in any way. Neither did his family. S has been asking to be adopted by L ever since he was 8. S struggles a lot with the fact that he has D's last name and wishes he was born to me and L instead. We talked about it with D, but D did not take it well and we decided to wait a bit before bringing it up again. Last June, D passed away. Our son handled the situation quite well. He said it made him sad that this happened, but that it doesn't tear him apart since he didn't know D at all and he didn't have a lot of feelings towards him. He started asking about the adoption again and we decided to go through with it. Now, in my country, a step-parent can choose between what we call a full or a regular adoption. With regular adoption, S would become L's legal son but D's family would remain his legal family. With full adoption, L's family would become S's legal family and all legal ties with D's family would be cut. I've let D's family know of our decision but told them we're torn between a full and a regular adoption, since we don't want to make them feel as if we're taking S away from them. We think it's important that S has the opportunity to get to know his biological family should he ever want that. We made it clear that we want to take their opinions in consideration. D's father, sister and grandparents all let us know that they believe we should do what is best for S and they just want to be assured that they can keep in touch if they and S feel like that is something they would want. D's mother on the other hand, who we never see or hear, is not okay with a full adoption. She claims we are taking away the last thing her son left behind on this earth and told us she could never agree to this. We asked them this question out of kindness, not out of necessity. They just lost their son and we wanted to be polite. But now we are very conflicted. We want to go for a full adoption but we feel like complete assholes towards D's family and feel like we're indeed taking the last thing their son left away. Would I be the asshole if we completely disregard her wishes and cut all legal ties with my son's biological family? And again, we're not planning on going NC with them, it's just the legal ties that are cut. Not the asshole, although I think it was a mistake to allow the rest of the family to weigh in when you weren't actually prepared for them to have strong feelings you might not agree with. As it is, you're just going to have to let them know you've taken that input under consideration, decided the full adoption is the best course of action after all, and deal with the fallout. Not the asshole. D's father, sister and grandparents all let us know that they believe we should do what is best for S and they just want to be assured that they can keep in touch if they and S feel like that is something they would want. You have your answer right here. D's mother doesn't have a current relationship with your son and is the only holdout because she's not putting what is best for her grandson first. She is grieving her son and that is coloring her viewpoint. Not the asshole, if they still want to be his family too there's nothing stopping them. Not the asshole. Seems like at 12 it should be up to your son. Not the asshole. Surely they can still have contact with your son if you allow it. It's not like the court will say, L is now the father, and D's family must stay away on pain of death. I think you have to listen to your son on this one. And well done to both you and L for being so sensitive and inclusive. Your son is very lucky to have you as parents. Good luck with it all. Not the asshole. You get to do what's best for your son, not what feels good for people that are not involved in his life. The full adoption would not impact their ability to have a relationship with your son in any way if that is what they wanted. Not the asshole. His mother hasn't even been involved with his life. She forfeited the right to object. This is a case your son is old enough that his wishes should carry a lot of weight. The three of you sound like you have built a wonderful life. Do the full adoption. Good luck. This an easy, not the asshole.